Thanks for the money, but no one wants a janitor in the wedding photos, my brother said with a grin. I nodded, went home, canceled the catering I paid for. Then I laughed, packed a bag, and went on vacation. A day later, my phone blew up. I was still standing in the corner of the reception tent when my brother said it loud and clear, grinning like it was the punchline to a joke he'd been dying to tell all evening. Aiden, Alan called out, raising his champagne glass in my direction. Seriously, man? Thanks for covering the food and all that. Real hero move. People turned to look at me. I smiled, uncomfortable, but he went on, pausing for dramatic effect. Let's be honest. No one wants a janitor in the wedding photos. Silence. And then awkward laughter. His best man chuckled. His bride, Emma, hid her face behind her wine glass. A few cousins looked at their shoes. One of Alan's coworkers gave me a pitying glance and turned away. I just stood there in my work boots and blue uniform shirt, the faint scent of bleach still lingering on my sleeves. I laughed just once, a small exhale through the nose, and then I said, "You're right." That was all. I didn't throw a drink. I didn't yell. I didn't storm out like in some movie. I just smiled at my little brother, turned around, and walked off the grass and into the parking lot like nothing happened. But inside something split quietly, cleanly, the way you don't feel a deep cut until you see the blood. I sat in my car for a long time, watching people dance through the reception hall windows. They looked like shadows against the fairy lights. I pulled out my phone, opened the catering confirmation I'd paid for weeks ago, $8,793.24, non-refundable if within 24 hours. I was just in time. I hit cancel and then I booked a one-way ticket to Costa Rica. No one wants a janitor in the wedding photos? Fine. Let's see how they like wedding photos with no food on the tables. Thanks for the money, but no one wants a janitor in the wedding photos. That sentence didn't just sting. It detonated everything I'd been too blind to see for the last 8 years. Let me back up. Alan's my younger brother. Always was the charming one, the fun one, the kid who scraped by with a crooked grin and excuses like, "I'm figuring it out," while other people picked up the pieces. Usually me. I didn't go to college. I cleaned them. While Alan was changing majors like socks, I was pushing a mop across dorm hallways to help mom and dad pay his tuition. 3 semesters in, he dropped out. "College isn't for me," he'd said. "But, thanks, bro. You're a lifesaver." That line became his go-to. I helped him get his first apartment when he and Emma moved in together, covered the deposit, paid his overdue utilities. When they got engaged, he said, "You're the only one I trust with the wedding aid. Can you help us pull it off?" He knew I'd say yes. I always did. So I did the impossible. Picked up overtime shifts, skipped weekends, gave up my only vacation in years. I funneled every extra dollar into that wedding. I paid for the catering. I helped Emma's mom with the venue deposit when she forgot her checkbook. I even covered the extra cost of Emma's second dress because the first one made her look bloated. I paid. I smiled. I clapped when they kissed. And what did I get? Thanks for the money, but no one wants a janitor in the wedding photos. That line, that smirk, that gleam in his eye like he was proud of himself, like it was a mic drop moment. The next morning, I woke up in my budget hotel room with the windows cracked open to the California breeze and salt air. It should have felt like relief. Instead, my stomach was a clenched fist of rage. I scrolled through my phone, 47 missed calls. The texts had started around 6 p.m. Emma, "Aiden, where are you?" Alan, "Dude, did you cancel the food?" Mom, "Please tell me this is a misunderstanding." Emma, "Do you know how humiliated we were? People left early." Dad, "Aiden, call me now." The cherry on top, Alan, "Bro, you went too far. Like I said, no one wants a janitor in the wedding photos. But this is pathetic." I stared at that message for a long time. No apology. No, I didn't mean it. Just more mockery. That night, my phone rang again. Mom. I let it go to voicemail, but then she called again and again. Eventually, I picked up. "Aiden," she said. "What is going on with you?" "Hi, Mom. Good to hear from you too. Emma's family is furious. They spent all that money and everyone went home hungry." "Emma's family?" I laughed bitterly. "You mean the people who spent nothing and left the cake bill to me?" "That's not the point." "No," I said flatly. "The point is your son, your other son, humiliated me in front of everyone, and you all laughed." "Oh, come on," she snapped. "It was a joke." I went quiet. "You really think it's funny?" I asked. "You think it's funny I skipped vacations, turned down raises just to stay in town and help you with the mortgage, paid for Alan's wedding, and then got told I'm not photo-worthy?" There was silence on the line. "Well, you do wear that uniform everywhere, Aiden. Maybe if you tried harder." That was it. That was the moment. The click. I hung up. A few hours later, Dad called. "What were you thinking?" He snapped. We had people calling us. There was nothing to eat. Emma was crying in the bathroom. I was quiet. "You listening, son?" "Dad," I said calmly. "Can I ask you something?" "What?" "When Alan dropped out of school, who paid his last tuition bill?" "You did," he said, annoyed. "But that's not it." "When his car broke down and he needed a new transmission, who helped him buy a used one?" "You did." "When you and Mom were behind on the house 3 winters ago and the heating was about to be shut off?" There was a pause. Then he grunted. "What's your point?" "My point," I said slowly, "is that I have always shown up. And not once, not one single time, has any of you thanked me without adding a guilt trip after. And now you all act like I owe you my silence, my humiliation. You're being dramatic." "No, Dad. I'm being done." Later that week, I went by Alan's house. Not to make peace, not even to argue. I just wanted to drop off the receipts. He opened the door shirtless, beer in hand. "Oh," he said, scratching his head. "The ghost returns." I handed him a manila folder. "What's this?" "All the receipts for the wedding," I said. "Catering, rentals, deposits, tips. You and Emma might want to actually pay people this time." He snorted. "Trying to prove you're the hero again?" I just stared at him. "You think you're better than me?" He said, "But all you do is mop floors and hold grudges." "No," I said. "I think I've been a fool, a janitor who believed love could be bought. Who thought family meant something." Alan smirked. "Guess you finally figured it out." I nodded. "Yeah, and I hope you enjoy living with the consequences." 3 days after the wedding, silence. No calls, no texts, no apology, just complete cold nothingness. Then a letter arrived. White envelope. My name in delicate handwriting. Inside was a typed message from Emma. "Dear Aiden, we hope. You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 2. You understand what your actions cost us. My parents were humiliated. Alan is heartbroken. We're asking you to do the right thing and reimburse the expenses we had to cover after the catering cancellation. Enclosed is an invoice. We expect a transfer by Friday. Family means responsibility. The invoice is for $2,400, emergency pizza delivery, an extra generator, and my favorite, emotional distress, $500 for her tears." I stared at the letter, then calmly fed it through my blender. Let the confetti rain. The next morning, Mom texted, "Mom, family dinner Saturday. You're coming. We need to talk." At first, I wasn't going to go, but then I thought, no, forget that. I will go, and I'll bring everything. Saturday night at 6 p.m., I walked in with a backpack over my shoulder. Inside, my laptop and a USB stick full of receipts, screenshots, and a video I'd been saving. They were all already seated. Mom had tissues in hand, like she was preparing to cry. Dad had his arms crossed, with a stern face. Emma looked smug and wounded all at once, and Alan was dressed up like he was giving a TED talk, confident, cold. "Aiden," Mom said softly, "we're glad you came." "Don't be," I replied. "This won't take long." Emma leaned forward. "We're all trying to move past this. But you humiliated us. Do you understand that? You ruined our day." I held up my hand. "You've had your turn. Now it's mine." I placed my laptop on the table and powered it on. "What is this?" Dad asked, already suspicious. "Proof," I said. I clicked play on a video from the rehearsal dinner. My friend, a photographer, had accidentally captured this while testing her camera. The mic was on. Alan stood with Emma and her parents. Emma's mom said, "So, your brother's covering the catering?" Alan laughed. "Yeah. Poor guy thinks it makes him feel included." Emma led him. "It's the only way he'll ever be part of something decent," Alan said. "Don't worry. He's used to cleaning up after other people." Literally. I paused the video. The room was dead silent. "Still funny?" I asked. Nobody answered. Mom looked like she wanted to disappear. Dad's face went pale. Emma stood up quickly. "That's taken out of context," she said. "Is it?" I asked. I opened another folder, screenshots of Alan's text messages to a friend. "Alan, Aiden's paying for catering. Told him we're broke. Emma's dad is covering the DJ, but we're pocketing the rest. Lol. Free food FTW." I looked directly at Alan. "You lied to me, used me, and then mocked me." He stood now too. "You betrayed this family," he said. "No," I said. I finally stopped playing the idiot. Dad slammed his hand on the table. "You're acting like a child." I turned to him, calm and focused. "No, I'm finally acting like a man who's done being your backup plan." Emma's voice shot out like a whip. "You destroyed our wedding." "No," I said. I gave myself back my dignity. I picked up my backpack. Before walking out, I paused at the door. "Oh, and by the way, I sent the video to every guest who attended your wedding, including your boss, Alan." He stiffened. "Remember how you laughed about janitors being beneath you? Let's see how that lands in the HR department," Emma gasped. "You didn't." "I did," I said. And then I walked out, not in anger, but in freedom. Behind me, I heard Emma burst into tears. And for the first time in years, I felt absolutely nothing. The family falls apart, and someone unexpected comes back into the picture. I didn't drive home after I walked out of that dinner. I drove to the edge of the coast, parked the car, sat on the hood, and just stared at the ocean. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel responsible for anyone but myself. The waves didn't need anything from me. They just were. I could have stayed there forever until the phone started exploding. 27 missed calls, 9 voicemails, a text from Emma's mother calling me a classless disgrace, one from Dad, "You've embarrassed us beyond repair." But the real kicker was Alan's message, "You're dead to me. You'll regret this." I read it 3 times, smiled, and deleted it. No rage, just relief. What I didn't expect was the public reaction. Apparently, someone at the wedding caught the tail end of my speech on video and uploaded it to TikTok. The audio of me saying, "I gave myself back my dignity," was already trending by day 3. "This is the most satisfying real-life moment I've ever seen," someone commented. "Dude's a janitor, but just mopped the whole family." Even BuzzFeed DM'd me asking for the full story. I ignored it all. I didn't need validation, but wow, it felt good. On Thursday, it got quiet, and that's when Sophie texted me. Sophie, my ex, whom I dated for 2 years back when I was still trying to earn my family's approval. She left because she couldn't watch me get walked over anymore. "Sophie, I saw the video," she said. "I've never been prouder of you. I always knew there was fire in you. They just buried it." We met for coffee 2 days later, no expectations, no awkward tension, just two people who had survived the same storm and finally stepped into the sun. I left because I couldn't stand how they treated you, she said quietly, stirring her drink. I kept hoping you'd see it for yourself. I saw it, I said. Finally. She smiled. So, now what? I don't know, I said. But for the first time, it'll be my decision. Back home, things were burning. Emma left Alan, who walked out on her 3 days after the video went viral. Apparently, her parents told her she was a disgrace to their reputation. Alan messaged me 2 words, "You win." I didn't reply. Then came the surprise I wasn't expecting. Kelly, my cousin, reached out. "Kelly, I'm done with them too," she said. "You inspired me. I just signed the lease on my own place." She'd always been the quiet one at family gatherings, always watching. Turns out she was watching everything. By Sunday, my mom came to my apartment. I didn't let her in. "I just want to talk," she said through the screen door. "So talk," I replied. Her voice trembled. "You broke the family, Aiden." "No," I said. "The family was broken long before I stopped fixing it." She opened her mouth to argue but didn't. Instead, she whispered, "Your father's not speaking to anyone. Alan hasn't left his house." "Not my burden anymore," I said. "You made that clear. You really won't help us?" she asked. "Not even now?" "No." Her eyes welled up. "I don't even recognize you." I smiled. Finally, and I shut the door. The next day, I checked my email. There was a message from Sophie, "I'm flying to Costa Rica in 3 weeks. You said you always wanted to go. Still want to?" I stared at the screen, then typed, "Booked." I left 2 days later for a short trip, not to Costa Rica, just a quiet weekend alone. The night before I left, I stood on my balcony, sipping whiskey. Waves of messages still flooded my socials, people sharing their own stories, thanking me for saying what they never could. I wasn't trying to be an example, I just finally stood up. At 9:12 p.m., another message came in from Brian, Alan's ex-best friend. "Proud of you, man. He always treated you like trash. You burned it all down and still came out clean." I smiled, not for the praise, but because it was finally over. I looked out over the city lights and whispered to the sky, "Thanks." You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 3. For the wedding photos. Then I raised a glass to the night air, to freedom, to truth, to finally saying no. Some bridges need to burn so you can finally feel the warmth. 2 months later, on a warm evening in Costa Rica, the ocean breeze kissed my skin as I lay in a hammock with a book I hadn't touched in years. It smelled like mango trees and salt. No phones ringing, no guilt hanging around my neck like a noose. I was free. But you know what surprised me most? I didn't miss them, not even a little. When you grow up in a family like mine, you're trained to feel one thing above all: obligation. They tell you, family is everything. You don't turn your back on blood. You're the older one. It's your job. But they never talk about respect. Never mention mutual effort. Never admit that love without boundaries is just control dressed in a Hallmark card. I thought I was doing the right thing for years, paying, fixing, bending, shrinking, and for what? To be called a janitor at my brother's wedding, to be cut out of photos, then asked to pay for dessert? No, no more. The week after the wedding went viral, I got messages from strangers, people saying I was brave, that I'd inspired them, that they finally cut off their own toxic parents, siblings, even spouses. One message stood out: my brother used to call me worthless. I was paying his rent and raising my niece. Your story made me walk away for the first time. I feel like I can breathe. That broke something open in me, because I knew that feeling, and it hit me. I didn't just take my life back, I gave people permission to take theirs too. Alan is still unemployed. Emma never came back. Last I heard, she was trying to marry into a wealthy family her dad knew through golf. Good luck with that, Mom and Dad. They tried one last stunt, sending a family friend to mediate. A guy I hadn't seen since high school showed up at my door like some peace ambassador. "You've made your point," he said. "They get it now. Maybe it's time to come home." I didn't answer. I just reached for my phone, opened the photo from the wedding, the one where Alan's laughing with a champagne glass and I'm in the corner, cropped halfway out of frame, and zoomed in. "They didn't just crop the photo," I said. "They cropped me." He stood there, no words. Then he nodded and left. Sophie and I didn't get back together, but we stayed close, bonded by scars of the same shape. She came to visit me once in Costa Rica. We drank rum on the beach and talked until sunrise. And when she left, she smiled and said, "You're not the same guy I walked away from." And that's a good thing. She was right. A few weeks ago, I did something I put off for years. I walked into a local office supply store, bought a whiteboard, and wrote one word across the top in bold black letters: boundaries. Underneath, I listed 10 names, 10 people I'd spent years trying to please. Next to each name, I added a column: respected me, used me. Only 2 names got a check mark, and one of them was mine. Now, when people ask if I regret what I did, canceling the catering, exposing the truth, burning every bridge with a flamethrower, I laugh, because what I lost wasn't family. It was an illusion. They didn't love me, they loved what I could do for them. They loved the silence, the obedience, that yes every time they stretched their hands out, and I opened my wallet. But when I stood up, when I said no, they turned into strangers. And maybe they always were. Some people dream about revenge. I dreamed about quiet mornings, coffee with no dread in my stomach, friends who text me because they want to, not because they need something. I dreamed of waking up without the weight of being someone's emotional garbage can. Now I have that, and I'll never give it up again. My last message from Alan came on my birthday. Hope you're happy. We needed you. I smiled and finally replied, I needed me too. That's the difference. This is where the story ends, not with a perfect family, not with a warm reunion over pie and forgiveness, but with freedom. With one man who finally looked his blood in the face and said, you don't get to call it family if you treat me like furniture. And then he left and never looked back. So here's the moral: if you're looking for one, if they laugh at your struggle, call you cheap while spending your money, mock your job, your clothes, your heart, cancel the catering. Let them taste what it's like to be hungry for once. And then book a flight, raise a glass, and toast to finally choosing yourself. Bonus chapter. I'm the guy who canceled my brother's wedding catering. Ask me anything. 2 months ago, my brother told a crowd, thanks for the money, but no one wants a janitor in the wedding photos. I was the one who paid for the catering that night. I canceled the entire order. While they served cold pizza and embarrassment, I was sipping wine on a balcony in Costa Rica. I said nothing at the time, I just walked away. Now I'm answering the questions everyone keeps asking. Do I regret it? No, I regret staying silent for so long, not for finally drawing a line. Did Alan ever apologize? No, his last message was you win. I didn't reply. Did Emma leave him? Yes, 3 days after the wedding. Did your parents support you? They tried to guilt me into rebuilding the family. I closed the door in their face, both literally and emotionally. Are you still a janitor? Yes, and I'm proud. I clean messes, not just floors. How did people react? Positively, thousands of strangers thanked me. Some cut off toxic relatives. One woman messaged, you gave me permission to stop being the family bank. Negatively, others called me heartless, said I ruined a wedding, not just a moment. A few quoted scripture at me. One said, you'll regret it when your parents are gone. I don't. I've said my piece. I've moved on. But one question still lingers: if you spend your whole life cleaning up after others, who do you become when you stop? I'm still figuring that out. And for the first time ever, I'm okay not knowing.